So, can I just say one thing? No. This hate needs to stop. Yet another van driving into yet another group of people. A group of innocent people. Yes, they were coming out of a mosque. Yes, they were Muslim. But no, that does not give anyone the right to plough a vehicle into them. It gives them no more right than it gave the people that called themselves Muslim, that drove into a group of innocent people on London Bridge. It gives them no more right than the man who called himself a Muslim extremist and walked into the fire at the end of the Ariana Grande concert and blew himself up and took people's lives. Just know, it needs to stop now. We cannot keep waking up on a daily basis and finding out through Facebook and Twitter and other YouTube videos such as Phil DeFranco's videos about what's going on in this world. We need to stop killing. We need to stop invading other countries, Muslim countries, other countries, and killing. Our country is suffering from people dying. The only tragedy that wasn't a terrorist tragedy recently was the Grenfell Tower tragedy. But these kind of attacks, like what happened in the early hours with somebody driving his van into innocent Muslims, this is because he probably believed that the deaths of the people who were refugees from the countries that are being destroyed by war was justified. I don't know the mindset of this man, or the men who killed Lee Rigby, or the man who killed Joe Cox, or the mindset of any of the people that commit such brutal murders, or who don't secure the safety of people living in their properties. I don't understand the mindset of anyone who could carry out this kind of offence. What happened to the people at Grenfell Tower? What happened to the people on London Bridge? What happened to the people at Borough Market? What's happened tonight to the men and the men who were leaving the mosque? I mean, this has to stop. How many more videos am I going to end up having to make because yet another disgusting terrorist attack or a tragedy of lives lost? I might only have 50 subscribers and I might be changing my focus to doing more book reviews and TV show reviews and focusing my energies onto that channel. But that's because on this channel everything is just turning into me having to say no and being angry. I've recently been attacked myself for disagreeing that all Muslims are terrorists. Not all Muslims are terrorists. Those people that have been mowed down by that van tonight, those people that died in Grenfell Towers, I'm sure that they weren't terrorists. Those little children that will have died in that tower, the people that died in 9/11, I'm sure none of those were terrorists. The people that hijacked the planes, and all this conspiracy theory that comes out that it was an inside job so that they could go to war in the countries where these people came from. This perpetual myth that we have that all Muslims are going to be warmongering and that they're going to be radicalised and that they're going to want to kill all those white people and all those non-believers. No, of course I haven't read the Quran from cover to cover. I haven't read the Bible from cover to cover. I haven't read any religious text from cover to cover. I don't see why I have to have read a religious text from cover to cover and change my beliefs to agree with somebody that obviously turns out to be racist. Just because somebody's skin is a different colour. Do you know what we all are? Do you know what race we all are? Human. The human race. Be it black or white or brown or yellow or any colour. Pink with yellow polka dots. Human. That's what we are. And we need to start working together. We need to make things better in this country and better in other countries than what they are. We need to stop killing people. How much more passionately do myself and other people have to say this? We go out and we protest and we have petitions and we petition the government and we try to get them to make tower blocks safe. I've just recently found out that the fire system in the block of flats that a family member of mine lives in has been disabled. So if there's a fire, basically people in that block could die just as easily as the people in Grenfell Tower died. And how many people who have money and influence and stuff who could have done something about it to make things better won't care? Why do we have to make these videos as YouTubers, whether it be a YouTuber like myself who only has 50 subscribers, or somebody like Philip DeFranco who's over in America who's got thousands of subscribers and thousands of views per day? We need to stop having to make these kind of videos because we should be able to feel safe. And we don't feel safe anymore. We feel like it's too dangerous to go out of our own homes. It's too dangerous to send our kids out of our own homes because we don't know if we're going to make it back. But it's got to the point where we don't even know if we're safe in our own homes. Those people were going about their day or their evening and had somebody mow them down, had somebody stab them, have somebody shoot them. Like in the countries where there's wars going on, having been blown up. This is not an Iron Man film where Tony Stark is actually okay and it was just acting. This is real life. People dying because of the greed of those with influence and power. You can't say that it isn't. I know it's a controversial thing to say that those with influence and power and money, but they don't care, right? We are suffering as people that don't have the influence and the power and the money to do something about it, but we do have the power. We have the power of having a voice and having a channel that we can actually get it out there and say, do you know what? To put it politely, screw you. You don't have the right to decide whether or not I live or die. You do not have the right to decide whether those people lived or died, because regardless of who was in power at the time that Grenfell Towers and other properties were built, right? You have decided whether or not there were sprinkler systems or alarm systems or what kind of cladding was put on the outside of a building. You have decided the fate of hundreds of people because you don't like the way something looked. You don't like the way a person looked. You don't like the way a building looked. Who gave you that right? Who told you as you were growing up that you had the right to decide the fate of another person? None of us have the right to choose whether or not somebody lives or dies. I have very controversial beliefs in regards to a lot of things that people are not going to agree with, and if I'm going to be attacked and called certain names because I refuse to agree, I don't agree with everything that Labour's ever done when they've been in power. I don't agree with what the Conservatives do when they're in power. I wouldn't agree with everything that the Liberal Democrats did if they were solely in power. I don't agree with everything that any party does. Right? I'm not going to get a copy of the Tory manifesto or the Labour manifesto and go through every point that they've made when they were campaigning for election and say, I agree with that bit, but I don't agree with that bit. Right? I'm not going to sit on camera and do that. What I'm doing is making a point that this has to stop, and it's not going to stop. And this is what's so disgusting about our world, that we don't value people as human beings just because they look different, be it a disability or a mental health issue or a learning difficulty. We're treated differently, and our people that are in power decide how much our lives are worth, how much we need to live on, right? And they keep reducing it down and reducing it down. People have died not because they've been in a tower block fire or because they've been blown up or shot in war. They've died because they didn't have the money to eat. They didn't have the money to heat their flat. They didn't have the money to pay the electricity bill. I've had people say, oh, well, that amount of money is enough for you to live on for a fortnight. Yeah, I was on television on the news, talking about the smart meters and stuff, and talking about how much of a struggle it has been living in this flat and living in my previous flat and trying to keep my mental health under control and everything. Right? These tragedies are happening because our value, we have none as far as certain people are concerned. We're just another statistic to put down on a piece of paper to assess how difficult our coping with our mental health is. Right, for the last 9 months, I've had ups and downs of struggling with my mental health in regards to understanding certain things with my GCSE English. I've talked extensively about how I have difficulty with things. I've been in emotional tears, frustrated tears, sad tears at times because of things like this. I mean, a TV program based on a book that was on Netflix drew out the emotions in me over the last 3 days because I can identify and empathise with how the girl in the story was feeling and how undervalued she ended up feeling by the final tape that she made, by everybody that was supposed to care about her. I've had those experiences of people that were supposed to care, and so many people that live in these countries that have been brought to the brink of war, either by their own governments or by us going into their countries because we believed that they had something that they turned out not to have. All these things that are going on. How much more do we have to say and risk ourselves on video proclaiming that this kind of thing needs to stop? Everything that's happening needs to stop. We just can't go on like this anymore. I'm not going to ask you about sharing this on social media or leaving comments in the comment section or hitting thumbs up or anything like that like I normally do. You can do all those things if you want, but that's not what this video is about. This video is about proclaiming that this needs to stop now before there are any more unnecessary deaths like Grenfell Towers, like Borough Market, like London Bridge, like Joe Cox, like Lee Rigsby, like those people who were coming out of that mosque tonight or last night. We're going to wake up tomorrow to yet another tragedy having happened. Somebody else is going to have been stabbed, somebody else is going to have been shot, somebody else is going to have been run over. Like another bomb is going to have gone off in one of these war-torn countries. How much longer are we going to continue to let this happen? Why can't we negotiate for peace? We go on about negotiating for getting Britain out of the European Union. I think the more important fight is negotiating for peace. All these countries must want peace ultimately. Why keep going to war? Why keep believing that the only thing that will bring peace is war? What will bring peace is negotiations, is the right person. That's all I need to say.